All right, there we are. We are live and in living color on this Memorial Day 2024,
A
live
little
from
late
the
on the
Christopher
holiday.
Cross Studios.
We're running on holiday time.
Yeah, we're running on holiday town. Sorry we're a little late this morning. I'm a little under the weather, and it was actually kind of touch and go there for the last half hour. But I said, you know what? There's no business like show business, like no business I know. So get in there and do the show, son.
You
Get in
can
there
be,
and do the show.
if you're an actor, you can be shot down in the streets of Los Angeles trying to stop someone from stealing your catalytic converter.
It's a dangerous life out there, Michael.
Apparently
I
so.
mean, people that aren't actors get shot because of their catalytic converters. So
I thought
it's
they had it down to it was science. You just two zips and the converter is gone, and the parts within it are sold for profit on the streets of your fair city.
Big profit.
well, they have now these little not little but these electric battery operated sawzalls that they just get under there and eh, and it's done. It's
And
gone.
it's
It's
gone.
out. Takes them takes them 2 minutes, and
The hard part is crawling under the car.
yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Is either jacking the car up or crawling under the car or one way or the other. Although,
Did you ever watch General Hospital at any time or soap opera
yes, many
thereof?
years ago, and then oddly enough, I watched it a couple of months ago. I was spinning around the dial, and I saw that when I saw General Hospital was there, and I saw that Laura was still on it. I don't know what happened to Luke. I think he died, right?
Well, everyone's in the hospital, so someone's going to have to go sooner or later.
Yeah, somebody's got to go soon. But yeah, I remember watching it, seeing Laura, not really realizing it was Laura for a couple of minutes, and then realizing, hey, that's Luke and Laura. So, but no, I was always an all my children guy, and now I'm a the young and the restless.
It's a tough business because you have to do a half hour every day live with no advancement of the story. You have to do stuff, but don't make the story change any because we don't know what we're going to do tomorrow.
Well, and you also have to practice that,
The
you
look,
know,
the
the look.
reaction look.
So but how many people have started their careers by catching a gig, either doing an arc or becoming a cast member. I think one of the things that surprised me the most over the last few years is that the actors now get credit on the soap operas. They never used to when I when I was young.
What kind of credit did they
Um,
get?
you never got any credit on a soap opera. You had to look in the magazines to find out who your favorite soap stars were.
Oh, they didn't have cast and production credits.
Right. There was no credit. There was no credits. There was just the thing came on. It said created by
Just
William and
gentlemen.
Betsy Bell, and you were gone. There was no nobody got credit. Got production credit or or acting credit.
And none of the people in General Hospital were actually doctors. I think we should emphasize that. If you were looking
They're
for a new
not
doctor and
doctors.
no, they're not. They play a
No.
doctor on TV, but not actually very well. They don't do any treatment. They don't do surgeries. They don't do diagnoses. They don't do. They can't write you a prescription.
Although, from what I understand, in the '70s, many of them tried.
They had the pad. They just couldn't get the The Latin abbreviation's correct.
Many of them tried to write prescriptions, but few few actually got away with it. Here, just take this down to the Rexall, and you'll be okay. So,
You'll get me some.
what was the young man's name who passed away from catalytic converteritis?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you in an instant. I'm going to variety.com.
Uh, where they'll usually have that kind of thing.
Where the story is not there. Johnny Wactor,
Johnny Wachter,
Wactor,
yeah.
shot and killed during a suspected theft attempt in downtown LA.
Yes, he was working as a waiter, I guess, or bartender,
Right.
and came out with a coworker.
Hey, what are you guys doing in my car?
Yeah, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was after the bar closed. And the next thing you know, they're pumping bullets into Johnny over a catalytic converter, over a $500 piece of metal that chances are that this guy would have said, "Go ahead and steal it. I'll just walk away." I mean, it's a catalytic converter. You're going to get yourself shot over a catalytic converter? No, you're going to say.
He apparently thought they were stealing the entire vehicle, or attempting to.
Well, I guess the way I read the story, he thought they were towing it. He thought for some reason they were.
You're right.
They were towing the vehicle, and he couldn't figure out why, because he was in a legal, or what he thought was a legal parking space.
They were towing it to Ojai to turn it into a fern planter.
And unfortunately, listen, this is the world we live in today, man. This is the world of your life is worth nothing.
Unintended consequences, which brings me to Israel this morning. Israel apparently has 2 holidays, like we have one. We have one holiday for Memorial Day for people who died, who lost their lives in war defending our nation. Then there are people who lost their lives in war who just happened to be there, and they were killed in what would be described as a terrible mistake, an error, a judgment. You people over here, you were killed during war. We meant to kill you. We intended to kill you, and we did kill you. You get a holiday. But if you were in a tent city and we killed you but didn't intend to kill you and never meant to kill you and didn't do it as a result of anything but our own terrible mistake, I just want you to know you don't get a tuna fish sandwich, you don't get your name mentioned, and you don't get a holiday. It's just an error.
Mishap.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, when you
live, and there's enough days around, you think one of them could be turned into a holiday for people to get killed in error, but we don't celebrate that loss of life.
Well, every day
or recognize it.
Every day is a day where somebody gets killed in error, isn't it, Michael?
Possibly. Isn't every day a day when someone gets killed on purpose, though?
I mean, we continue to kill people for a variety of reasons, in the name of God, in the name of the devil, in the name of our countries, in the name of peace, in the name of war. We just have an insatiable lust for killing people. And the guys that sit behind the desks never seem to be happy unless somebody's getting killed. And they can apologize for it.
That's when they snap into action. They snap into action. It's called like the war parliament, the war council. They get going, and they've waited so long for this opportunity that they will not take any lame excuse or criticism from the outside world who wants them just to stop killing. That's not what they're about. If you want someone to stop killing, you got to talk to the stop killing people. We are the go kill them people. We waited too damn long for this opportunity, and we're not giving it up now. Yes, you pose no threat to us because you were living in tents. But yes, at the same time, we feel better having killed you in advance in case you pose a threat sometime in the future.
Well, the problem is, I don't know that I believe that even though they're living in tents, they pose no threat because there are people that are living among them that do pose a threat. Now, I
As
don't
much
agree with
as
the way
much of
Israel
as
is
much
going
of
about.
is it as much of a threat? Do they pose the same level of threat that the people who killed them pose to them?
Well, I mean, you have people from Hamas who are hiding amongst the people there. Now, I don't know in this case if that's the case, but in several cases, I mean, these are people that hide in hospitals, they hide in basements and schools and all sorts of stuff. So it doesn't justify it, but it certainly makes it harder to draw a line and say these people should get killed, these people shouldn't get killed.
These catalytic
Um,
converters should be stolen, and these catalytic converters should be left as they
well,
are.
there's no comparison there, Michael. How do you figure there's a comparison between a catalytic converter?
It's
I
the
mean,
death. It's the death surrounding the removal of the catalytic converter is the same. If you have a catalytic converter downtown LA, chances are, if you interrupt the destruction of the converter, you could face your own death. Same thing in Israel. What kind of a tent have you got? Does your tent have a catalytic converter? Is there value to it? Five
yeah,
hundred bucks.
I don't. I, I know that it is a horrible problem. That's what I know, and I know that the prime minister, the guy that's running things in Israel, is hell bent on destroying um, as many Palestinians that it seems like he can. He's taking this opportunity
To kill them all.
to try to see how many he can get because he believes, and I don't even know if he believes this. I don't know that he believes that they're as much of a threat as he tells people they are. I don't know. I'm not there, but I know that at some point it seems like you got to stop. You got to say, okay, we eradicated, or at least we neutralized part of the threat. We have to build up our army better so that they can't come cruising through the gates.
But how many times have we asked them to stop in recent weeks?
Well, he doesn't care.
Often.
See, that's the
No, he
thing.
does not care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap what the United States says
I believe you're
or
right.
anybody else for that matter. And I just keep on thinking that at some point he's going to piss the wrong person off.
Well,
And the wrong
there's
person
no downside to that. Then you just kill that person. Just
is,
kill them.
well, no, the problem is he's going to piss the wrong person off. And, you know, a country that has the capability to go over there and flatten Tel Aviv is going to do something like that. At some point, some country or some entity, it's not even a country anymore because it doesn't work like that over there.
You don't have to have a country to be at war.
Right. You can call yourself Hamas or Hezbollah or Al Qaeda or Al Schwartz or whatever you want to call yourself.
Al Schwartz had a good thing going there for a while. He overplayed his hand, but I know what you're saying.
Al Phillips, call yourself whatever you want. The problem is, at some point, when you keep doing this kind of thing,
You
you're
might have
only
run
going
out.
to,
You run out of friends.
well, yeah, you run out of friends and you run out of sympathy. You know, people are sympathetic um, to Jewish people to a certain point. because they realized, okay, these people were attacked and yada yada yada, and but this is now going on, 8 months, right?
Yeah, since October.
So at some point, you have to figure that with all the equipment and all of the stuff that you have, courtesy of the United States and everybody else, that you should have been able to put your finger on the bad guys and taking them out. And back 20,000 deaths ago, people would have been, okay, you did your thing. Now let's help these people back to some form of semblance, and let's get on with the world. But it seems like you have a guy who is hell bent in Netanyahu on eliminating any trace of an enemy.
Well, it's been
And
tried before, but as you know, you can't eliminate your enemy entirely and completely and forever. And to believe that you can is madness. So we're dealing with a madman, and they're dealing with madmen. So there's no sanity on either side that can be used as an example.
yeah, I mean, I don't. I've said this many times before. I don't have a solution for it. I don't know if there is a solution for it, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if people can look at this and say, well, if you did this and you did that, you did this, everything will be hunky dory. I don't know that that would happen,
Well,
but you can't.
they've tried war for 8 months, and they're unwilling to try peace for even 20 days.
Well, at some point, all you're doing is you're taking people who might not normally be your enemy, who might not be against you, and you're turning them into people who are against you. And you're turning them into people who will grow up with a hatred of Israel and a hatred of the United States
It will
for
last a
helping
lifetime.
Israel
Yeah.
and a hatred of everybody. So, and at some point, it's going to get taken out on us. I don't know, Michael. And nobody seems to want to sit down at a table and say the first thing we need to do is stop everybody from dying. We've had enough death.
Well, both sides have that argument. They could make it, but in reality, they also at the same time think we're getting close, but we still have a few more people that we'd love to kill before we stop killing them. Got a list right here. Got a
Well,
list right here of guys that we want to get before we do this ceasefire. It's how we operate. We don't just go willy nilly. We have people that we want to kill. We don't keep a list of people that we have killed. That takes forever. But it's good to tick a name off of the list that we have prepared right before us every day as we start our work day. Who do we want to kill today, and how we want to do it, and where are they now? How can we get to them? And after that's done, who else is on the list? Let's get them now.
well,
Let's get them now while we have the power.
yeah, they want to kill as many as they think they need to kill to stop the threat. But the problem is you're not going to stop the threat if you keep killing people,
You renew the threat.
because the people that are left that are alive are going to be upset, right?
And they have a solution for that too, but it does entail killing them all. You have to kill them all. And then people who are not Palestinian will take up the cause because they're mad about the fact that there are no Palestinians anymore.
Well,
I'd like to know what Hezbollah is doing because since day one, they've been described as the most efficient paramilitary organization, the one with the most missiles, the one with the most men, the one with the most money, the ones that pose the most threat, that are operating toll free in Lebanon, right across the border. And nothing. So far, nothing.
Well, not. I mean, they've attacked Israel. There have been attacks from Hezbollah. Um,
Launches.
but no, they're not. They're part-time warriors, I guess. They're not working every day. I don't know if they're waiting for Hamas to tap out for the summer and go on vacation, and they'll take over from the Golan Heights, or what's going to happen. I just know that little kids are getting killed. Little kids got killed the first day this all started, and every day little kids seem to be getting killed, and it doesn't seem to be a good way to run a war, does it?
It's not efficient.
I don't know anybody who runs a war who says, "Let's start killing kids
And see where it goes.
and see what happens, see where we get this thing to, see what we can make happen." I don't. It's not a sane reasoning to fight a battle. So
Plus,
at some point,
if you don't want a ceasefire, if you don't want peace, that must mean that you want war. That's what you've got. Now the world is absolutely on your doorstep, saying you can have as much of this as you want. How much do you want? We want more. We want it every day. We want it just the way it is. We want to kill people in tents and say it's a terrible mistake. That's all we have to do. Well, that was a terrible mistake. Back to the war. This is the way we want life to be. We want death to be the biggest part of life,
well,
and
you're
that's what they've
dealing
got.
you're dealing with people who don't believe that this is the life that the life that they're worried about, that they want to be involved in, is the one that comes after this one. And so it's okay if they get there. And they have enough people that seem to want to come along with them at some point. I would suspect if we went walking through the streets over there, you'd find many more people that don't want anything to do with this shit that's going on over there. You'd probably have many people who say, I don't want to have, I want to have my apartment not be bombed out. I don't want to put my kids to bed and, right after the 11 o'clock news, hear a rocket come through the window and kill my kids. I don't want that. But they have nothing, they have no way of doing anything about it. What can they do?
Well,
Half the people in the neighborhood
neither
belong to a cult.
neither the Palestinians nor the Israelis have any means of stopping their government, stopping the war makers.
Right.
Excuse me.
You have a bunch of people that are going to sit there and are going to say, well, we have to be strong and we have to be able to deter these people. The only way we can deter these people is by annihilating them.
Is anybody with me?
Just like the people on over here who say we have the only way we can deter these people is to kick them out of the country. The other people. The only way we can have a good country is to kick the people out that we don't want here.
You can't be strong unless you have enemies.
And it makes this day all the more sadder. What's a solemn day to begin with becomes more and more sad because we go by the national cemetery or we go by the memorials and the statues and this and that, and we put these big things up to honor the war dead, and we learn nothing from it. We learn absolutely nothing.
And
We
so it is.
we
So
have
it is with the guys who join up. It's hard to say, "Well, I'm joining the army because I want to learn how to fix trucks." I'm joining the Air Force because I want to be a mechanic on the jets. I'm joining the Navy because I'm really interested in propulsion of aircraft carriers. I want to know how they go and I want to build those engines. And you can do that. You can sign up today. You get a uniform, you go to basic training and start your training. But when the shit hits the fan, we don't need guys to fix engines. We don't need guys to work on the underside of the boat. We need guys who are in a position to die for their country, to fight for their country. And that's what the job is really about.
well, yeah, that's what a soldier is does. I mean, that's what their job description is. You need to be ready to die for your country and to defend your country.
You can work on computers until there's trouble. And then we don't need anybody working on computers. We need your body.
Um, but again, we we go through we have this day that people talk about and write songs about, and when Johnny comes marching home, and all of these songs that memorialize these people who were brave enough to go and fight for their country and defend their country, but year after year after year after year, nobody learns from it. There's at some point you have to learn from these things, don't you?
I think what we've learned is that there'll always be somebody to do the dirty work and die for their country.
Yeah, and um, there'll usually be somebody who is of a lower economic status than many people. It'll usually be somebody who gets enticed to join the Army or the Navy or the Marine Corps or the Space Force. That's the sexy one now, the Space Force, because they can entice you with money. And if you have no money, if you live in um,
The
Big
Bronx.
Ed, Arkansas,
Yeah.
you that enlistment bonus looks good. That paycheck every week looks good. So, it's easy to point a finger and say these people did it, those people did it, those people did it. If they didn't do it, if they would have done it, this would have done it. And yes, it is very true that Hamas coming over the border in early October of last year set off a series of events that were not good and they should be dealt with. But if you don't work toward fixing the problem that's sitting there, if you don't try to get things figured out,
If you keep hitting on 18, you got a problem.
you got a problem. And not only do you have a problem, but you're just going to be repeating the same thing that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So I don't know how to. I don't know why, you know, 70 years ago or so, 80 years ago, we were at war with Germany. We were at war with Italy. We were at war with Japan. We were able, over a period of time, to stop that war and to actually figure out a way to not only coexist with people, but to get along with people.
And that was the last war with an actual negotiated victory, with a with the signing of an armistice. It hasn't been one since. They never signed one for Korea, never signed one for Vietnam, never signed one for Hamas and Israel. There'll be no negotiated peace.
Right,
Could be a
but that's
cessation
just
of
the word.
hostilities, but not a peace.
Right. So you have um, why could we do that? And so now we're all driving around in Japanese and German cars, and everybody's lovey-dovey with each other. People go to Japan all the time. Japanese people come over here. People go to Germany all the time. Germans come over here. It's all everybody's lovey-dovey with each other. But you can't get the Arabs and the Israelis, or even the different factions of Arabs, to get along with each other.
It would be a break with tradition to get along. That's not what we're about. We're not meant to get along.
I mean, why are they different than us? Why
Why do we
are
go to all this trouble to have separate religions if we're going to get along? We could all have the same religion. That doesn't make any sense. That's no good. That won't
what
fly.
yeah why can't these people figure out how to get along like we get along with the Germans or the Italians or the Japanese? There has to be. I mean, it can't be a secret formula, can it be? At some point, you have to stop fighting, don't you?
Oh no, there's that first step, Vinny. That turns out to be the first step. If you take the first step, what's to prevent you from taking the second step toward peace? It's not what they're about. It's not what they want. It's not what they're dreaming about. It's not what they've fashioned in their imaginations. It's not what the governments intend to do with their future. What good is it to be in the war cabinet if you don't have a war going on or are prepared for a war the next day?
Well,
No, they're not.
well,
They
you
have
can take
no.
all those troops and send them down to Arkansas and Oklahoma and Texas and wherever else tornadoes are
And if they have, raise your hand if you have any carpentry experience. Ever work construction? We're going to need that.
whipping the dust up. It's a shame. It's a shame that we sit here on Memorial Day, and a day that we should be thanking the people that defended our country and that gave of their lives to so that we can enjoy freedom, so that we can hustle our fat asses down to the Dairy Queen and sit in line in our car outside and wait for them to stuff an ice cream cone in our mouths.
Is that the Israeli Dairy Queen or is that the Palestinian Dairy Queen?
It's who's ever got ice cream. I don't care if they're Israeli, Palestinian, Mofoco. I don't care who they are. If they have delicious ice cream, here's my $1.35. Please give me a cone.
Do you want sprinkles on that? Or a chocolate dip?
But we still said it'd be a great idea to send our young men and women, and we've come to the place now where we include women in this. There was a time when we wouldn't send a woman into battle,
Our humanity no longer extends that far. What a breakthrough.
but our great liberation, our great women's liberation music movement made sure that now a woman can go and die just as easily as a man can. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, at least. I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just get I just get discouraged because I would hope that at some point we would get smart enough not to have these things happening anymore, to try to sit down at a table and figure things out instead of beat the crap out of each other. And having to bury our young children.
Well, if you've seen Gordon Klepper on The Daily Show do his interviews with the supporters of Donald Trump, you realize that we're not smart enough to do any of those things, Vinny. We've got 30% of our country so far removed from reality and so convinced that they're right that what is real, what is actionable, what is fact is all in play. And they live in a world of their own creation that's made up of inventions and lies and distortions. And it's the most dangerous threat facing our nation is what people in the nation in their homes enjoying their citizenship and the protections of being an American have come to believe and what they intend to do about it in the future, how they intend to vote, who they intend to support, what they believe. It's interesting that the terrible weather that's hitting the United States is hitting mostly the red states where climate denialism is the most prevalent, where people have come to believe that the Barack Obama somewhere is making these stories up about climate change to threaten their future in some way.
Yeah.
Not that the tornado doesn't threaten them, their immediate future and their home and their record collection. But the Allman Brothers live at Fillmore East flies through the air just as well, whether you believe in weather change and climate change or whether you don't. Here comes the tornado, regardless of what you believe. And tornadoes and hurricanes have a funny way of not asking you what you believe.
No,
They
no, they
don't.
don't.
They don't. They don't. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't.
Not a consideration.
They don't discriminate.
No.
No, they lift up your trailer and they move it across town.
No charge.
And whether you're in it or you're out of it, doesn't matter much to the tornado.
No. Never has.
And we see tornado season now that starts 3 months earlier than it used to.
And is more vicious than ever.
And with heavier winds and more excitement of the atmosphere. And people go, well, we don't really need to put money. We're wasting our time. We're wasting our money putting it into research. It's just going to be some bad weather out there sometimes.
There is no why. There is no reason. Trust me on this. I've lived in Tornado Alley all my life.
God will protect us.
God will send a prophet. Donald Trump is a prophet. He'll save us.
Did you see his little song and dance for the excuse me?
The libertarians.
Yeah, the libertarians. I was going to say the liberals, but it wasn't.
That's what he looks like when his face falls. Whoa. He lost all his poise.
What a joke!
What a maroon.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. It was crazy to see, and yet, although the the guy who eventually did get the nomination finished just ahead of none of the above. So.
What I thought was odd.
I don't know what the heck the libertarians are doing.
How did these people allow that to happen? Where are we going today? We're going to speak to the libertarians. They love me? Yeah, they love you. They love you in their own way. They're going to vote for you. They support you.
Because
when he got off, what did he say when he got off stage? Why in the world did we come here? I could have played golf today. We could have avoided all this by just not being here.
It's such a joke. and he walked in there like he was King Donald and
Instead, it was
expected them
Donnie
to
for
rub
that
to
was
his feet. And I give the libertarians a lot of credit, man. They gave it to him.
they gave him plenty. They gave him an earful.
They gave him all he could handle. And I mean, I guess there's some people in the Libertarian Party that would think that they would want such an established guy like Donald Trump as their candidate. The
But they
only thing
had
he would do is suck their coffers dry. I can't imagine that old Donald would say, "Well, here is a few million.
go be
Put
libertarians.
my name on some posters."
It shows me that as an organization, the Trump organization doesn't know their people, doesn't know their campaign, doesn't is so used to being accepted wherever they put up a rally sign that they can't feature the idea that somebody might disagree with them. And they walked right into that one. It was a forced, unforced error that will be probably used in campaigns against them.
Well, I mean, you
Do
know,
these folks like me? Do these folks like me or not? Yeah, they love you. Just go out and make your speech. The same speech you always make.
well, it amazes me that one person can think that they are so infallible. It amazes me that one person can think that they are so well loved that they would stand up in front of a group like that and there would be like an immediate acceptance of them, an immediate love.
It's like the Pope trying to tell people that he's infallible to a group of Lutherans. Hey, I got this. Based on my infallibility, I think you guys should listen to what I have to say. And forget
It's
about
it's
Martin Luther for a moment.
it's such a sign of arrogance,
Yep.
arrogance at a wholesale level. I mean, you couldn't go to Costco and buy that much arrogance. They don't carry that much,
But Big Mustard, yeah, they have that.
and it's. But yet you have, I mean, yet you still have these people that will follow him. Uh, Not many of them in the Libertarian Party, but he wore his welcome out there, and I can't tell you how much joy and how much glee I got out of watching them just chop him up on stage.
He doesn't do that well without standing ovations, does he?
Or a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just going to go out there and wing it. He was
He was
just going
good.
to go out there and say a few words, and they were all going to fall in line and kiss his ass.
He was going to wade through it like he always does.
He's lucky he got out of there with his life. But yet, I know people that think he's the one, man. He's the one that's going to bring this country together. And you can't tell him any different. You can't tell them any different. You can't say to them, but look at this and look at that and look at this. Forget for a second that you're a conservative and maybe you feel like we're spending too much money for this and spending too much. You don't want to see health care. You don't want to see, but this is the guy you want to hang your hat on.
He'll fix it.
This is the guy that you think is going to improve our country, is going to give you back your country.
He was a very successful businessman. You forget that, then.
No, I don't forget it, Michael. I was in New York when he was a successful businessman. See, that's what not that they forget it, but people don't. He's so blinded people that he doesn't. People don't realize that this act didn't start in 2017 or 2016. This act has been going on for years.
And remember, don't pay the guys who put up the plywood. Just don't pay them. Or the white wall. Or the plumbers.
Yeah. If you want to
Or the
get paid for
glaziers.
your work, sue us. That's the only way you get paid.
And even then, maybe not.
And we'll do anything we can do to avoid paying you a penny on a dollar. So what? You have kids that need to eat. So what? You have bills. So what? You did work for us. Thank you. See you. And the same exact people that he has screwed over and over and over again stick as many Trump stickers on the back of their pickup trucks as they can.
It's fascinating how the support comes from those who he dislikes the most and has treated the worst.
It's sick. It's sick. I mean, we've talked about this many times before. The biggest pandemic, the biggest dire problem with this country was not COVID-19. It was the idiocy, the pandemic of idiocy that runs deep in this country that allows a guy like Donald Trump to exist. When a pure fact check or a pure looking up on Google or a 5-minute research will turn out so many different things and how people are sucked up into it. I mean,
Willingly so. Sucked up into the hurricane.
yeah. I mean, look at Nikki Haley. Here's a woman who 3 months ago, this guy is standing on a stage insulting her husband that's in the military. Just flat out insulting him. And what does Nikki Haley do on Friday? She endorses him.
My kind of guy.
He's a good guy. He's the one that's going to get this country back on track. How absolutely stupid must you be? I mean, she is a bird brain. He is right.
Yep, he was right about that one.
Lindsey Graham, never anybody's most famous politician, but you'd think a guy that would have enough power to stand up against a Trump.
Nope. No. Sorry. No.
Ted Cruz, the guy practically said, Trump practically said that his father killed Kennedy.
Well, he was in on it, you know. He may not have pulled the trigger, but part of the conspiracy, definitely.
The truth doesn't matter. As long as I can get my picture taken with Trump, as long as I can get my little piece of the pie that they're handing out, as long as I can be seen in the room where the big people are meeting to hand out the money, then I don't really care. I don't care about my values. I don't care about my principles. I don't care about anything.
Does it bother you that a cheap Trump t-shirt costs $35, or can you go with that?
It bothers me more that a Bruce Springsteen T-shirt costs $35. But no, actually, it's more. It's 50.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones T-shirts are now 50. Have been for a while.
Yeah, that bothers me because that's an item that I might at some point purchase. Like I really wanted a Bruce Springsteen Marseille T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wanted one, and they've canceled a bunch of shows now. Bruce has
On doctor's advice, yes.
sick again. Uh, and it's maybe it's God's way of telling me shouldn't be charging $50 for a T-shirt.
And don't go out and check your car for the catalytic converter. Send a roadie. Don't go yourself.
It's it's sad. It's sad to look and see the what the rock and roll business, the merch business, and all that stuff has become. It. I mean, I know that I would rather spend $35 and go on Blue Centric and get myself a $35 BB King T-shirt or a $35 who's the guy that I like so much, the guitarist Luther. He played with it with a gazillion bands up in Sonoma County. Luther
Dickinson.
No, Luther. The blues guy was all over the place, man. Nice, handsome guy. Luther. I can't remember his last name now. I haven't thought of him in years, but I'd rather buy one of his T-shirts. I'd rather buy an Aretha Franklin T-shirt. I'd rather buy a T-shirt from a show that from a band that hasn't been around in years. I'd rather buy a Cream T-shirt.
Dun, 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 dun.
Than to spend $50 or $75 or $35. Well, I mean, you're gonna spend $50 minimum for a concert T-shirt, and they make them out of that cheap crap too. On top of it, that's the thing that really irritates me.
Yeah.
If you sell me a T-shirt for $50, at least make it a nice T-shirt.
Sturdy.
You get those T-shirts that feel like they're car wash rags
after they've been used.
Yeah, I mean they're like wet used chamois cloths. Well, Michael, I don't know. I'm mad at the world today. I'm getting through it.
Remember to save your receipts.
Yeah, I'm honoring the people that gave their lives, that did something that I probably would never have the nerve to do. Give their lives in defense of our country. But I just would like to see that their lives were given up for something, that we appreciate what they did.
Well, that's why.
And electing Donald Trump to be the president is not showing me that anybody appreciates what these people did.
They were suckers. That's what it shows you.
It's a sad commentary, but we we try to keep fighting a good fight, right?
Well, we send the suckers to do the fighting because they're the ones willing to die. The good fight is at home.
You yeah. Yeah, I just I hope, I wish, I pray that we get our act together as a country before we shuffle off of this planet. I'd like to have I'd like to have a year or two where it felt like people appreciated the sacrifice that these people made. I'd like to have a year or two where people try to figure out solutions instead of creating more problems. I'd like to have a year or two where before we leave, people will show respect for each other, will find respect for each other again.
Don't hold your breath, okay?
You wouldn't bet on that, would you?
At this juncture in our history, no, I would not.
Yeah, it is sad, isn't it? But it is Memorial Day, and we honor the people that gave their the ultimate sacrifice. Please, folks, you know I get
With
vetoed
speeches.
about this. It is not Veterans Day. It is not a day to honor people who were veterans. It is not Armed Forces Day. It is not a day to honor people who are in the Army.
It's not Armistice Day.
It's not Armistice Day. It is Memorial Day. It's a day that we honor the people who gave up their lives in the wars of our country, whether they be offensive or defensive. The people that fought for our country and lost their lives in the process of doing that.
It's also
That's
the
what this
kickoff. It's
day
also the kickoff to the summer season. So go to Amazon.com and buy some cutoffs.
not up here. It's not the kickoff to the summer season.
No, what do you got in place this summer? Maybe it's going to be one of those summers in Seattle where the summer never gets there.
Well, it just doesn't get here until July. I mean, we got another month of cold weather. I mean, I don't know what it is outside. I'm going to say 57, 58, maybe if we're lucky. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. Whether I find a place in this world or I never belong.
It's 72 degrees in Pasadena, on its way to 78 today.
It is 60 degrees and cloudy in Edmonds right now. They're expecting a high of 66 today, a low of 50. Cloudy conditions continuing all day. Wind gusts could get up to 16
It's funny.
miles per
Our
hour.
our low our low temperatures are tied. 50 degrees here for the low.
73 in New York with a severe thunderstorm watch.
Because they don't
74
believe
in
in.
Cleveland. One of my
For the
favorite places
commanders of
in the
traffic.
world, Chautauqua, is 71 with rain coming.
Rains are coming.
And out there in
74 and
Pasco,
cloudy in Mountain.
Washington, it's 72 degrees. They're looking for a high of 82 today. So if you're
In
out there in the
Pasco?
Tri-Cities,
Wow, it's going to heat up.
going to heat up out in the Tri-Cities in Yakima, the Palm Springs of Washington.
Everybody dumps on Yakima.
How is Palm Springs this time of year?
About 10 degrees more than LA. It's going to be in the 80s today.
I need a trip to Palm Springs, you know?
It's open.
I'd really like to. I haven't been to Palm Springs in a long time.
We were on the air there briefly, weren't we?
Yeah, I think we were for about 15 or 20 minutes. See, Mikey, that's what I wish we could do, Mikey. That's what I wish we could go to a place like Palm Springs or Reno or Las Vegas and spend our last few our last few waning years of working.
Here's a sports bulletin. Bill Walton has died at the age of 71.
Uh,
Following a long and prolonged battle with cancer.
Certainly,
One of those figures from the sports world that everyone can see in their mind's eye right now. You can just see
yeah,
him. You can hear
yeah,
his voice talking, and not stopping.
yeah. Just a loss. You know, it's always a loss when somebody leaves, obviously, but and certainly not the influence on the game that he had in years gone by. But boy, in the '90s, I mean, forget his playing career for a second. Just as a broadcaster, as a sports broadcaster,
Mm-hmm.
um, had a profound influence on everything that was going on.
And he was an outspoken advocate for the Pac 12, which now no longer exists. So both those things are gone, the Pac 12 and Bill Walton.
And an outspoken advocate for a diverse, interesting lifestyle. He
He
was a
was a
hippie.
deadhead. He was a hippie and a
He was a
deadhead,
hippie.
loyal to the end, a product of California, Oregon, and the West Coast mindset.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Not that many guys wore tie dye t shirts to do their NBA broadcasts.
You would if you were driving along up and down Highway 99 on a warm summer night and you saw a Volkswagen bus parked at a truck stop, you probably had a 50% chance of seeing Bill Walton driving that van.
They were roomy if you were 7 feet tall.
That's a shame. I always I didn't always agree with what he was saying, but I always knew that he was a lot smarter about it than I was.
And he was willing to just keep talking.
He was 71.
Yeah, what a shame. Well, you know, you knew that we couldn't get out of here without something happening, right?
Lucky John Wooden. He had Kareem Abdul Jabbar and Bill Walton at the same time, one right after the other.
Wow. Well, on that note, Michael, I will
Sign
I will
off.
get ready to excuse myself and bid you adieu.
I'll see you
And
for a wacky Wednesday. It can't be any wackier than this morose Monday.
this was kind of an odd show today. I almost didn't make it. It was tomorrow. I have um, a long dentist appointment. Actually, a long oral surgery appointment. So,
But that's a good thing.
well, yeah, I just would like to be asleep for the whole thing, which I don't know if they're going to do for me or not. But we're sure going to try to get him to do it. Put me out and wake me up when it's over.
Yeah, don't forget the wake up part.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, definitely don't forget to wake me up part. I I've had that before. It's not good. I've
Have a good day
had
tomorrow.
that.
Good,
We're gonna go out of the room. We'll see you in 3 months.
good luck with your procedure.
Thank you. I will see you tomorrow if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise. To all the people out there who had relatives and people who served their country and lost their lives in the course of doing that. Special thoughts for you today. Thank you for your family sacrifice. And maybe one of these days we won't have to have a Memorial Day. Maybe one of these days we'll just have a day where we all celebrate buying a Volkswagen or a Toyota.
What a dreamer you are.
But I'm not the only one. Michael,
See you later, Bill
peace,
Walton. See you later,
love,
Vinnie.
and Manischewitz, man. R.I.P. Bill Walton.
It's quite a wine. I'll see you on Wednesday.
See you, pal.